It's not always what you say. It's not always how you dress, or even what you do. Often, what truly makes the difference between an ordinary woman and a woman who radiates high value lies in the invisible, in the subtle, in the small details that, although they go unnoticed by most, are perceived by those with sensitivity, emotional intelligence, and life experience. When a high-value woman walks into a room, she doesn't need to shout who she is. She doesn't need to demonstrate. She is who she is. Her energy speaks for herself. Her posture, her non-verbal language, her way of holding a gaze or elegantly withdrawing it. There's something about her that can't be bought, that can't be learned in a course, that doesn't depend on looks or money. She's presence. The first subtle detail that differentiates a high-value woman is her pause. She doesn't react impulsively. She listens, observes, thinks. When someone attacks her, she doesn't respond by yelling or collapsing. She takes a moment. She breathes. She assesses. That pause isn't weakness, it's dominance. Because a woman who knows how to pause before reacting is a woman who knows herself. She doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't get swept away by the emotion of the moment. That pause makes her magnetic, enigmatic. In a world where everyone is running and shouting, her silence has power. The second subtle detail is her emotional discretion. It's not about repressing what she feels, but rather knowing when, where, and with whom to share it. A high-value woman doesn't overexpose her private life. She doesn't need to tell the world about her accomplishments or her wounds to validate herself. She knows that her process is sacred, that not everyone deserves access to her vulnerability. When she speaks, she chooses her words. When she opens up, she does so from a place of awareness, not from a lack of understanding. And that creates an aura of respect around her. People feel honored that she lets them into her inner world, because it's not something she gives away to just anyone. The third detail is her ability to select who she gives her energy to. This may seem simple, but it is profound. A high-value woman is not available to everyone. She doesn't respond impulsively. She doesn't say yes to please. She doesn't feel guilty about setting limits. Her time is precious, and not because she says so, but because she shows it. She protects it. She cares for it. She doesn't nurture empty bonds. She doesn't seek validation from crowds. She doesn't stray from her center to please. And while this may make many uncomfortable, especially those accustomed to women who give themselves without measure, it's exactly what makes her unforgettable. Because she doesn't allow herself to be possessed. She chooses herself. The fourth subtle detail is in her body language. Her movements are firm but gentle. Her posture is upright but not arrogant. She looks you in the eye with confidence but without intruding. She sits with presence. She walks as if she knows where she's going, even when she's not entirely clear. Her nonverbal language projects a woman who has inhabited herself. She's not playing a role. She doesn't seek to be liked, but to be. And it shows. It can be felt. Others won't always be able to explain it, but they will notice. Because her body speaks before her words. And her physical language says, I belong to myself. And we come to the fifth detail, her relationship with silence. While many fear empty spaces, a high-value woman embraces them. She isn't afraid of silence in a conversation because she doesn't need to fill it to feel in control. She isn't afraid of emotional silence because she knows that her value doesn't depend on how busy her emotional life is. She can be alone without feeling incomplete. She can remain silent and say everything. This mastery of silence makes her deeply attractive because it speaks of emotional maturity, of intelligence, of a rich inner world that doesn't need to be displayed all the time to exist. These 5 details barely scratch the surface, but they have something in common. They aren't faked. They aren't forced. They aren't memorized. They are built. They are the result of having walked inside, of having fallen, gotten up, questioned, of having chosen herself even when no one else did. A high-value woman isn't born that way. She is made, with every boundary she sets, with every no she allows herself, with every moment she decides not to betray herself for fear of losing someone. And yes, of course, a high-value woman can have doubts. She can cry. She can feel vulnerable. But the difference is that she no longer abandons herself. She no longer waits for others to tell her who she is. She no longer defines herself by her partner, her job, or her image. She defines herself by how she treats herself, by what she says to herself when no one is listening, by what she tolerates and what she no longer allows, by how she gets up after a fall without losing her dignity. Age doesn't matter. Body doesn't matter. History doesn't matter. What matters is awareness. Because a woman aware of her worth becomes a beacon. She attracts what resonates with her and repels what no longer corresponds. And that's strength. That strength is impossible to ignore.